Alright, hello everybody, Skyrain here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. It's that time, it is patch notes day, and as per usual, especially here on my channel, we're going to do the side-by-side comparison because there actually is, this time around, a fair amount of differences between global and the Chinese patch notes. So global, of course, will leave out some information. So let's go ahead and get started though, however, with the properly translated as is global notes for most of us, of course. So let me go ahead and start covering that, and then we will go with the Chinese patch notes on the other side. There we go, there's that one, and let's put this one up for now. There you go. All right, so here's the Codex. Well, let's just skip to the good stuff here. All right, we got limited time events, log in for X amount certain days. This is a 100% increase to your bonus XP for your battle pass, but it won't be occurring until the 13th of March. So this one's a ways off. It won't be until the next battle pass. So bear that in mind though. That's what this one is right here. Okay, and then there's a quick glimpse. It's already on YouTube. I'm not going to play it here because things can be fickle, and if they have any music, it'll be copyrighted and whatever else. I could just mute it, I suppose. But these are always points of contention amongst the players, of course. You either like it, you love it, or you hate it. And maybe you like it too. That's the long and short of it when it comes to skins and the battle passes. All right. And then with the Valiant Guardians returning events. Now this is basically just, yeah, returning events. They have a shorter span of time on some of these, it looks like. And I don't know if they're kind of changing the way they're going about doing these event center events, because some of these events, as we've noticed with the Valenti event that we have going on currently, that's been going on for a month, we're getting returning events, but they don't count towards anything. We get bonus battle pass point kind of stuff, but that's it. We don't get tokens for the event centers, that kind of thing. Of which the event center that we currently have as well is going to be ending tomorrow. So, and I haven't seen a new one show up yet. So I'm not entirely sure what they're going about doing that. The event centers do need to stay, and because I mean the rewards are still pretty paltry, but there's additional than what we've had in the past. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out, I guess, tomorrow, all of us, with that in that regard. That was a side tangent right there. But anyway, yeah, returning events, Survivor's Bane, Trial of Horde, Fractured Plane, and back to the top. Now, Winds of Fortune returns again. However, the last one was pretty basic and very disappointing because so many of us were upset that they didn't put the double gem drop in there, the legendary drop. The, what was it, Goblins, whatever it was, Goblins Plunder, Mirror Jewel. You know, they kind of called it the same thing, but yeah, so we didn't get that the last time, so everybody was upset about that, and rightfully so, because, you know, when they go and do this, they're being real, I don't know why they're being, like, not upfront about it, and slipping it in here like it's, you know, oh, you found it, oh, congratulations. It's like, come on now, everybody needs to know. That's what we look at this information all the time for, so don't do that to the player base. That's very dirty. Everything, a lot of other things you've already done in this game is very dirty, so at least be a little bit more upfront with this stuff. So yeah, I don't know when the next Mirror Jewel is going to come up. It may be in this one again, but don't hold your breath to it because we found that out the last time. It was disappointment. This one's done a little bit differently too. They did clarify some things in this one, so I do appreciate that fact alone. They do say, and this has actually happened already, but during Winds of Fortune in a 4-player party, normal gems bonus drop will be doubled and unaffected by the daily cap. Now, hang on for a second thinking that this is going to be unlimited amount you can get. That's not the case. It's doubled and unaffected by the cap. Only the first 12 common gems of the day will be tradable, so that remains the same. But you can get an additional 12 when you pop the Winds of Fortune, which only lasts for 24 hours real time, so keep that in mind. Split it between 2 days, whatever's the best that works for you, so that way you get the benefit of the double party drops in 2 days time, and also Try to set it aside for when you know you're going to have enough time in the game to play, and maybe knock out your weekly gems faster. That's what I did the last time when I popped mine. I got into, was it Abyssal Verge teams, and I popped mine on a Sunday night into Monday for reset for the week, and I knocked out my weekly. It made it nice. It expedited the process. You don't get double weekly gems, but it makes you gather them quicker. So that made it way faster complete, and then I was like, oh good, my weekly gems are done. I don't have to worry about that the rest of the week. So it makes it nice. That's just a suggestion, mind you. Okay. But yeah, that's it. They just put that in there as a little side thing here. And also, the problem is, we get down further here. Note during this limited time event. Now, they at least are transparent on this, so this part I do appreciate only for that fact alone. They're going back to the old way again here in that, let's see, any bonus experience, let's see, yeah, and weekly limit on the battle pass points and normal gems will not change. So that's still locked in. Any bonus experience gained will be affected by your current modifier. New to the Winds of Fortune limited time event, you will no longer have to claim. Yeah, you no longer have to claim the bonus XP that we had to do before. It will be granted immediately. So there's that. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not entirely sure. And additionally, there are limits to each item that can be earned in duplicate quantities. We've had this before. We had a list, and it would show us what percentage we were at upon claiming these double drops for, like, in particular legendaries. So we are no longer, they're going back to that one again, to where we won't be able to get a bunch of extra legendaries now. Now there's a finite amount of that that is going to occur, so it's probably going to happen very, very quick, and then at that point you won't get double drops for the legendaries anymore and be like, well, that was a waste. So yeah, that aspect of this, them resorting back to, I do not like, but whatever. They're constantly messing with this, and I don't know why. It's like, just stick with one thing and just be done with it at this point. You know, we know the score of this event, but they constantly keep certain things, and they tweak things for better or worse, in most cases, and for worse. But yeah, so that's Winds of Fortune again. No mention of Mirror Jewels slopped in there, so we'll just kind of have to figure that out on our own, per usual, as the player base, and then spread by word of mouth to everybody if that does happen. All right, balance changes. Here we go. Now, there's some balance changes I'll get to again in the Chinese patch notes. I'll have to scroll down and find it. They left a lot of details out in the global notes. This is very, very bare bones right here with the balance changes. So I will get to the balance changes in the Chinese notes here in a little bit. We're almost done with the global notes. Okay, so Necromancer, from this one verbatim here, the Grim Scythe legendary. Now, cast range has been reduced. This is definitely needed for across the board in this. The cast range has been reduced from 8 to 6 yards, so it's shorter now. And enemies with the Reaper's Mark that are more than 10 yards from the caster will lose the mark, which is good because that thing had an extremely, extremely, extremely long duration on it. I've been, like, across the map sometimes, and I'll see the mark on me. Fortunately, it wasn't doing any damage to where it would constantly reapply and stack itself on me at the time in these instances. And I'd watch this thing, I was like, when's this going to go away? I don't want to spread it to anybody else, so I had to keep my social distancing. I had to do social distancing with that mark on me. And I'm like, when's this going to go away? And it took forever. So this is nice for that in that regard. 10 yards away. So that means the Necromancer's got to be close and stay close now instead of drop and run. So there you go. I mean, sorry, but not sorry. That's something that needed to be somewhat of an adjustment made, and that's what they chose to go with. There are a few other things, like I said, in the Chinese notes, which we'll go into more detail on some of these other things. Some of them I'm actually kind of surprised by, too. But some of those were also desperately necessary and needed. So I'm glad to see that they're on the way. It's just weird that, again, Blizzard, of course, doesn't put them all into their notes here properly because they're really bad at translating stuff. All right, Tempest, the coral shank piece, the crosswinds. Now, we know what that one did before. I did a previous video on the speculation of that right before this one. But now it's going to fire the blades in a straight line and no longer track. So no more aimbotting. No more aimbotting and getting hit with these spinning blades from across the map anymore from this particular usage of that ability. Sorry, not sorry, as far as that goes. It's turned into just a whole bunch of clone wars. Yeah, Tempests are definitely going to be up in arms on this one, I guarantee it. Even the Necromancers too on that fix, but I'm sorry that the Necromancer one for sure needed to happen. The Tempest one we will go into more detail here in a second too. Let's knock these out really quickly now. Okay, set item drop changes. Of course, we've discussed this one previously. Only exceptional, so the triple rolls and the multi-attribute magic affixes will be all guaranteed triple normal gem sockets now, which honestly, like I said before still, just make all the ones that can be triple socketed. Because some of us actually like the 2-stat attribute ones. Some of us like the 2-stat ones, especially in PvP, that's a thing. So just make them all 3-socket and be done with it. There's none of this, you know, utter nonsense of which, oh, we're going to give you what you've been asking for 2.75 years, but we're not going to give it to you exactly the way in you what you want, which is part of Blizzard's MO. They've always been kind of petty that way. But it is what it is. We're finally getting it. But good lord, they took way long to roll this out to us. All right, item reforged loadouts. You're getting an additional item reforged loadout slot, of course, of which you have to spend X amount of stones if you want to unlock that extra slot right away. I personally haven't really messed around with this too terribly much. I might now, I guess, since there's 3 of them. But since I haven't even really gone swapped back and forth myself personally, I know a lot of people, of course, for PvP reasons, they'll swap back and forth. Makes sense. But, yeah. So we get a 3rd slot now. But you have to, you know, spend X amount of stones to unlock it. So to keep that in mind. So, and it's funny how they're like saying, we added one more loadout to the item reforge, increasing the loadout capacity to 3. Huzzah! That was completely unnecessary to be put into this for the text. But anyway. Challenge dungeons, your potions will refill immediately upon resurrecting if you get killed in the challenge dungeon at any point instead of before. I guess they didn't at all. It didn't happen too frequently when the ones that I ran, so I didn't really pay any mind to it or mention. But yeah, so now when you respawn, your potions will be refilled. So that's kind of a nice thing to not slow the process down of finishing the dungeon run, which is good. All right. Now, this one's huge. This one I was a little surprised by. They changed the combat rating for Inferno levels again from 4, 5, and 6. I don't know. They didn't make any mention of 6 just yet, but they said they were going to monitor how that's going to go about. The thing that already immediately comes to mind here is the drops. The combat rating that are on our drops currently. Are those being adjusted, or are they staying where they're at? Because then, I mean, if they're staying where they're at, that means we're getting a significant increase in combat rating with those pieces as they stand right now. Because they're dropping the combat rating across the board again on everything, which is crazy. They're doing it to raids. They're doing it to they're making it so now instead of the open world and the dungeons would have a slight difference in combat rating requirement, they're now the same. So the dungeons and the open world are now going to be the same combat rating requirement, which is crazy. So yeah, this is a big win again for everybody that's been struggling with their combat rating. So you can stop leeching off of a lot of us and running dungeons and going in there. Case in point, I was in a party a couple days ago, and I had 3 other people in my party that did not have anywhere close. They were like 2,000 combat rating off from trying to run Inferno 5. I was the only one that had it, therefore I was the only one doing damage. It was a pit run, I think. I was clearing everything out of the way because if I didn't, they would have died. I got up to the platform and said, no, I'm out, and I left. I took the timer hit. I didn't care. It was ridiculous. So rejoice in this fact, everybody, that those of you struggling with the combat rating change, or combat rating as it stands right now, we're getting an adjustment. So hooray for a lot of us, actually, in that sense too. So yeah, so that's gonna be on the way. I'm slightly surprised that they went and tweaked it again. So hey, and they said they were gonna monitor Inferno 6 when it comes to it. So I'm like, you might as well make an adjustment. I don't see why they can't make the adjustment now if they've already adjusted this one twice. But whatever. Spectral ally improvements. This one's nice. Monster density changes. That's whatever. I still didn't see it when they changed like Darkwood. I wasn't in Darkwood that much to notice. They did that in the Ancient Cradle as well. Cradle I like running around in. That's just one of my more favorite zones to do stuff in. And of World's Crown now too, but either way, I didn't really notice a difference in the monster density. The respawn rates might have been faster too, but again, I didn't really notice. So take this for what you will. They're increasing it in a lot of other areas. I find Wortham kind of funny because who really farms in Wortham? That's the starting zone, so I don't know what to think about that. But yeah, so there's that. Supposedly, again, I don't know how relevant that actually is. If at all, if it actually works as they say it does. Alright, Spectral Ally improvements. Spectral Ally improvements here. We've made changes to improve the navigation for Spectral Allies when navigating dungeons and enabled the ability to summon them to help complete random dungeons. If this is what it reads, word for word here, verbatim, that's huge. That's huge for a lot of players, including some people even at the end game, depending if we run it late at night where the player base is just kind of at a quiet time, so to speak, and there's less people online instead of like during the days most times. So for night owls, this is kind of a good thing. And also for players that are in the earlier difficulties. I don't know, however, though, and let me know if you've tried this out before or if you've had the Spectral Allies, because I'm curious if it will give you the party drop, the normal gem party drop bonus with running with Spectral Allies. If it should, honestly. It really should. Because if you don't, you're missing out on that, and that's nobody's real fault, you know, other than the games itself. Because, well, there's a lot of people at the end game. A lot of people say, hey, I can't get into parties to get my party gems because I'm in, like, you know, the hell difficulties or whatever, and I'm not in Infernos yet, and that kind of thing. That's been an issue. Hopefully this will resolve that and allow you to run in parties, even though they're AI, mind you. It's better than nothing at all, you know. So please, hopefully there is that party gem bonus drop for having the Spectral Allies with you to complete these dungeons now, and the fact that you can summon them at will, because obviously a lot of us are in Inferno. So those of you that are still in the hell difficulties or even prior, the normal even, hopefully you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to summon them at will and get the party gem drop bonus with them in a full group. That would be great. I'm hoping that is the case here. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I don't know. If you've done this before, put that in the comments. Let me know. Well, let everybody know for that matter, obviously. All right, controller updates. Several button mappings to controllers for common actions. Okay, well, that's for those of you who want to use controllers. Diablo boss challenge reward visibility. This is whatever. It's to let you know, hey, you can get a pretty decent piece of gear per week from Diablo, doing that fight over and over again each week. But yeah, and it's supposedly added to the Codex. It's funny because it says update to the display the number of times Diablo can be defeated each week. I'm like, oh, it's weekly. What part of weekly does that not translate to? But anyway. UI changes for creating a party. You will now be able to quickly create a party, post in chat to quickly gather companions for you. Oh, man. So more chat spam flooding is what this is. We've heard the feedback that it takes too many steps to form parties in chat. So we've added the function. I mean, granted, if it's like terror riffs and that kind of thing, cool. Be like, here, post, done. Join if you want to, automatically, that kind of thing. So that's kind of nice. But our chat boxes are going to be filled with even more spam. It's not going to be scam sellers, but now it's going to be party forming. But whatever, I'd prefer that over the other, obviously. The alchemy powder for the stupid charms that we barely do anything with anymore. They're finally condensing those down into stacks of 9,999, so that's good. And bug fixes on global notes anyway. Aha! Always funny, always a laugh. All right, that's out of the way. Let's get into the other stuff now. I'm going to go ahead and close the Blizz notes out just so there's a little bit less real estate on the screen here. And I need to switch over to the Chinese notes myself on here. There we go. Okay, now I can scroll this one. Here we go. Nothing really of substantial note here. I like this one. This is, obviously Google translated to English from Mandarin. So it's still rough no matter what way you look at it. And I love this because this is about the set pieces. 3+2 and above sets must be full of holes. So that's just a little chuckle there on that regard. Now, this is what Chinese servers are getting that we do not. Forever ago, we had a trial run of obviously a tournament for PvP, and they gave global that run like one time. Obviously, it must have just, fell and dropped and been just a complete mess. And they did handle it very, very poorly, so I can understand why they didn't bring it back around. But it looks like the Chinese servers still have this ongoing, and they get cross-server competitions. So, yeah, that's what they get and what we don't get. Benefits of being where the game is being developed, I suppose, right? So, yeah, they get all this stuff here. That's what all of this is. Competition rules, all the like. Rewards that you get for completing and reaching certain ranks in this thing. That's what all this stuff is right here. So, unfortunately, for the mass majority of us, we can pay no mind to this whatsoever and completely forget it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But anyway, so now we're getting, let's see. Oh yeah, they're bringing back some cosmetics from previous battle passes, as you can see here. And it's going to be, they said that the 2 sets of legendary costumes that have returned are now compatible with Mistblade, which is Tempest, and Berserker, which I think is Blood Knight. So there you go. So those that didn't get those skins from before on those 2 particular classes, rejoice in this fact that you will now be able to wear that. Okay. See, reincarnation, blah blah blah. Yeah, this is just rehashing all the returning events that we're getting. There's the double drop right there. They did mention, where's it at? Double sign in supply merge. Okay. There was one. Oh yeah, there's a Wild Brawl is in here in this one. Yeah, there are teams of 6 of 24 people in the forest. Yeah, that's Wild Brawl. And it has event time of March 7th to the 14th. They didn't mention this at all in the Blizzard notes because I was like, wait a minute, there's a huge gap between when this patch is getting released until the middle of March. So where's our events? And here they are. They listed them in the Chinese notes to fill the gaps here. As you can see, March 1st, March 8th, that kind of thing. But yeah, so they weren't in the Blizzard notes. They left those out. So there's that. Good job, Blizzard. And then there's, of course, Moon Chasing Journey. Well, that's the moon event that we always get, the Blessings of the Moon. And yeah, so we're getting the usual set again for our returning events. All right, now let's get down to where I was talking about earlier with the changes. Dungeon, yeah, we talked about all these. All this is the same. Balance adjustment, here it is. This is way longer and way more in detail, which I appreciate. I really, really wish that Blizzard would go into this kind of transparency and depth of this, but again, their translation is very poor and they leave things out. So as we can see here, now the Wu, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I'm going to mess it up. This sounds like Monk. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. This sounds like Monk. Now, again, this is Google translated, so some of these essences are hard to make out. Let me get that centered a bit better. All right, fix the issue where the damage of Hurricane Break would become abnormally high when the legendary equipment Driving Thunder and Lightning was paired with Endless Breath. Again, these are Google translated, so I'm not entirely sure which pieces these are making reference to. Developers' comments. We found that the problem with the excessive damage to buildings. So this definitely feels like Monk because they can one-tap the Crystal Heart, and they can do the same thing in towers in Alley of Blood and the like. So yeah, this might be what this is making reference to. I'm pretty sure it is. So this is very interesting because we knew for a while now that this is a bug. It looks like they might have gotten around to finally addressing. The excessive damage to buildings is caused by the fact that when the legendary equipment harnessing thunder and lightning is paired with endless breath has a chance to cause additional wind and thunder rush damage, resulting in abnormal damage. After fixing this bug, endless breath will no longer abnormally trigger damage calculation. We will closely observe the performance of the wind and thunder rush style in various gameplays in the game. So let's take that for what it is for right now. Again, I'm not entirely sure what the actual proper translation of these pieces are, but I do feel like this is Monk. This is the baton twirlers. We knew it was a bug and the massive amount of damage it would do to the Crystal Heart and obviously players too. So we're going to see how this translates. So there's that one. That one got left out in the global notes completely, which I find very interesting. All right, so now we go to the Necromancer. Okay, anyway. The Scythe again here. Cast range, we've already discussed this. Developer comments. We found that the Necromancer's Oblivion Scythe mark was too easy to cast on designated targets. Yeah, you think? And the enemies attacked had no means to counter it. Yeah, that we have a few, a handful at best, but honestly not really, yeah. So we reduced its casting range and added a countermeasure for it. So there's that verbatim from the developers here as far as that goes into more detail with the Necromancer stuff. Okay. Mistblade, which is Tempest. The Wind Blades emitted multi-blade skill. Okay, this one goes into more detail on this. The Coral Sword, which is the Coral Shank, are no longer guaranteed to hit the target, but become straight-line projectiles flying towards target location. Developer comments. We found that the multiple Wind Blades emitted by the Mistblade Legendary can easily hit specific targets, they can, and cause an insta-kill effect. They can do that as well. At the same time, the attacked enemies have no means to resist because it aimbots you from clones, which is really horrible content. Therefore, we adjusted the flight form of the Wind Blade so that other players can avoid damage by quickly moving or hiding behind friendly forces. So anybody else that can soak the damage more, that kind of thing. But yeah, there was too much aimbotness with these clones that they can, the Tempest would just drop and disappear. Now that's obviously the tactic they've been using for quite a while for this season in particular, and I understand why, but at the same time it is very lazy. It is very and the aimbot aspect of it was a bit too much. Same thing with actually some of the Demon Hunter stuff, but I mean Demon Hunters have cried enough about getting left in the dust. So yeah, anyway, item optimization. I'll create teams. We've already discussed this. There's the combat rating adjustments. Okay, so here we go. They got problem fixes here. I want to read these really, really quickly and wrap this up. I've gone on long enough. Thank you for bearing with me this whole entire time. Again, these are usually podcasts whenever I go and do these things because I go into far more detail and depth than probably most, and they bullet point it, which I know people appreciate that too, but I got to put something a little different spin on it than everybody else. And I'm pretty sure I'm about the only one still that does a side-by-side comparison here with a lot of these things that they leave out. And there was a lot they left out this time, obviously, because here's the problem fixes. Fix issue with the blood bottle, which, okay, that's challenge dungeons where you refresh your potions. Okay, well, that's fine. Fix an issue where the magma ground left by Barbarian legendary equipment Jaws of the Hydra skill ignited the enemy, and the demoralizing roar skill of the legendary equipment Lion's Mane could not be used to calculate the ignition. So there's the thing for Barbarians. Fix an issue when the Necromancer legendary equipment Rebirth had an incorrect description. That's a description fix. Fix an issue where the negative stats added to the enemy by the Necromancer legendary's Obliteration Scythe / skill could not be removed by skills that cleared negative statuses in some cases. So that was pretty dirty. Glad they fixed that one, because there are a way to do certain Condi cleanses. There's the Wizard Shoulder Piece. I've been having to use that one a lot frequently now. the wizard's shoulder piece that will that you teleport and will remove the last condition applied to you. So you have to basically burn all your teleports a lot more frequently to cleanse everything off of you. But that was a counter action to that scythe mark, but it wouldn't always work like it said here. And yeah, so that's something that is getting addressed. Fix an issue where the wind scroll of the mist tempest legendary skill parasitic shell did not correctly trigger the wind assisted firepower. So okay. Fix an issue where the wind blade of tempest greedly weakness did not correctly trigger. You can see them all on the screen here. I'm just kind of going over some of these and giving my thoughts on them if they make any real impact here. There's a 7-phase fist, so that's monk ability there again. Triggered the projectiles fired by some skills, but the projectiles did not penetrate the target normally. Okay. Optimize the operation experience of the violent charge skill of barbarian legendary equipment. Indestructible will. Skills that can be used during movement can now be used during the charge. Okay. Fix the problem that the final boss of the Albrecht has a chance of abnormal skill damage. Yeah, this was noted on Reddit, I think, somewhere. So looks like they got around to fixing that one. So kudos to them. They fix things a lot more faster than what we give them credit for as far as the NetEase side of things. When they get this stuff sent to them, unfortunately, we'd all have to learn Mandarin or know somebody that speaks Mandarin and be like, hey, send this message to the developers for me, please. That kind of thing. That's the only way these are going to get fixed and get fixed fast and properly. Okay, I hate to say it, but that's the long and short of it. That's been the case in the entire time, because Blizzard is just, you know, they just gave them the IP and they'll fix things if they get note of it, but it takes them way, 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 way longer, and most times they don't even bother. So yeah, NetEase is where we need to basically translate stuff to Mandarin and ship it off to them and say, here, this is an issue. Can you fix this one? They'll be like, oh yeah, yeah. So that's the only thing they got going for them, honestly, really, in that regard. And then let's just finish out here. Oh yeah, fix the issue where the keypad entering purchase. Oh, that's purchasing. Yeah, there were some problems that people were having with the shop. So okay, they had to fix that too. Anyway, there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm gonna end this up. I've already gone on far, far longer than I planned on here, but I went into hopefully such detail on this one. Again, Blizzard Global Notes always leave stuff out. They left out, I feel like, a significant amount this time than before. And I'm glad that some of these changes are coming into play here, especially in the balance section. The balance changes. And the combat rating one surprised me. It really did. But yeah. So anyway, we'll take that as a win again. Combat rating, balance changes, and 3-socket set pieces is as best we're going to get anyway. So anyway, until next time, everybody, stay safe out there in the real world. And far as always, take care of yourselves as best you can, one day at a time. That's all we can do. It's the best we can do. Until next time, see ya.